Fun times. We got music today.
Oh, I'm having a great time. I got my beer. Oh man, this is a good time.
Fun times. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso from FoodMexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican soccer, Mexican national team, Liga MX, and our Europeos abroad. Let's get this started with meeting the guys. We have a packed house today, having four of these guys, these experts, so-called experts, as we like to say, to talk to the Mexican national team. We're going to be talking about Ecuador and Mexico, all the drama that there is, obviously, when Mexico plays, and how we did win finally a game in 2015, even though we didn't have any. And we'll go ahead and start with Tom. Tom, he's in Kansas City. Kansas City, Tom Wrights. How's it going?
It's going well, so yeah, good. Went down to the training session today, and then obviously Herrera gave his press conference. Bit of a shame that the players seem to be dropping like flies in terms of injuries, but I think another pretty important game tomorrow. It'll be a good barometer of where the Copa America team is at.
Definitely. It's good to see you there. I know traveling from LA to Kansas City. We have in Houston Naive, who was also busy during the weekend covering the Santos game. Naive, how are you, sir?
Good. We so good to see you, Johnny, Tom, Cesar. I mean, it was a good victory in LA. I think it wasn't the finest football from El Tri, but they grinded out the results, from start to finish. It was good. A game from Chicharito, good game from Corona, and a great game from the captain, Andres Guardado.
Actually, yeah, Andres Guardado, good to see you. From the San Diego, Tijuana area, Johnny Rico, also great to see you this weekend in LA. Johnny, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Actually, still feeling the effects of the long weekend, but yeah, I'm good.
A long weekend, good to see you. And Luis Cesar, wearing his retro 1998 green jersey. Awesome, amazing, and pointing at what is that? I don't know if I can see what that is.
You guys haven't seen this? Oh yeah, check this out. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, right. This is art. It transcends sport. Now it's art. So.
I do have to say about the jersey styles back then. They lasted a long time because that was a similar style to the 1994 jersey. You had the same design for 4 years.
No, I think the 90 was so much better, but obviously we should probably get into
relevant issues. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. A little bummed I didn't get to join you guys in Los Angeles, but although the little nice silver lining was, sitting at home in my pajamas once again and just watching the game from there. So it was a little nice doing that. Wish we could be down there with you guys, but the important thing was that Mexico won. The fan side of me was pretty happy, but the analytical side of me was a little disappointed from a lot of the stuff I saw on the field. But in the end, I'm just I'll take a 1-0 victory, and I'll take Chicharito scoring for us once again.
Yes, well, good to see you again. We had a chance to some of us meet Jason, who said he was a little tired from his trip. From Soccer Mexicana also was there. Shout out to Jolie from FoodMix Source, who drove us around and gave us quite the tour of the LA area, and great spot has taken us. So it was a very fun time meeting everybody. Let's talk about just before we actually analyze just the feel of the Coliseum. Tom and Johnny trying to get into the game. I know a lot of people were complaining about it. I know it took a couple of hours, but quite the massive crowd. I think 88,409 people actually made its ways, but quite the crowd, don't you think, Tom?
Yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere. I think it's called the North, and it definitely lived up to the theme. I mean, even in terms of the organisation as well. I think there was a bit of a traffic accident before the game, so. But yeah, top atmosphere. Really was a good game, good all around, and atmosphere outside. So yeah, I mean it's been a while since they played in Los Angeles, so it was good to see him play there. And the fans came out. I mean they really did. See the likes of Chicharito and the big players. They're just so loved up there. You know what I mean? And yeah, enjoyable experience all around.
Good, yeah. Johnny, what did you think of the Coliseum? Coliseum obviously packed. It took a little while for everyone to get in. It looks like at 10, 15th minute, it still wasn't full.
Yeah, typical like Tom said, the stick of the North. You know, you when watching a big game in Mexico City's Estadio Azteca, I look around at the stadium at kickoff, and that's usually not the. It's until halftime where you can like, all right, now there's a good turnout. Because by halftime everybody has made their way in. You said the announced attendance was over 88,000, but Zoom had announced that they had sold 90,000 tickets. I think about 2,000 of them got stuck in traffic and couldn't come in.
Well, it was a very, very fun time, especially meeting all of you there. Just an amazing time with you guys and just analyzing the game before and after. But let's go ahead. Let's start. This is obviously the Mexican Soccer Show. We do have a live chat for all of you that are there. We have the usual suspects. Jolie joining us as Joel Bata with a lot of knowledge there. And not to mention, let's see, Josh Velasquez.
It's some guy named Jonathan Rico. I don't know who that guy is, but
Jonathan Rico Avalos is also there. He's multitasking what we're saying there. But let's go ahead and start. Obviously, as you see, 1-0 Mexican victory overall. Piojo Herrera said after the game in the press conference that he wasn't too delighted with how the players played. He didn't really. He would love to see more cohesion in the back line. He also said that obviously we're there to get the results, getting a 1-0. But I'd like to take all you guys' your takes on the game, just your overall impression. How did it feel? It looked like a confused Mexico in the starting up, but you have to understand that these guys haven't played well. Let's start with you, Tom, who got congratulations for being on ESPN during halftime and got the comments of the game. So, Mr. Celebrity in the Mexican Soccer Show, it was fun to see you there. But what did you think in your overall reaction?
uh-oh.
Oops. I'll be back in 1 sec.
Yeah, I found some technical difficulties. We'll jump over to Johnny. You were there at the game. Tell us your first reaction, and we'll come back to Tom. I think he's going to fix some stuff up. So go ahead, Johnny.
The first game of 2015, you had the usual players all come together for the first time in the year. Most of them know Piojo's system, but you could tell they haven't played with each other in a while. First impressions were the goalkeeper Corona was required pretty early to come up with a save, and the defense kind of took a little longer to kind of set up and stand their ground. But also Ecuador, I think Ecuador was a little overhyped in my opinion. People keep saying that they're going to be the big battle for Mexico and Copa America this year. I was not impressed by Ecuador. They could have done some real damage to Mexico, especially the way the defense was playing early on.
Yeah, I think obviously with their the way that they missed, actually not great to see Ecuador and being such a great caliber team. They're playing. It looked like they also had some problems in the beginning, just trying to get to scoring. It looked like almost what Mexico had that problem. If you would reverse the roles that they attacked and they just missed so many chances. If it wasn't for Corona, obviously I think they would have been a 2-3-1 maybe. Looking at that, but let's talk to Cesar. Cesar, your overall reaction of the game. I know you mentioned a little bit, not the greatest taste in your mouth regarding this victory, but at the same time, you're glad you won.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned at the start of the show, there's the fan aspect of myself where I was elated, I was excited, that we won the game. But at the same time, I just saw a lot of problems in our starting 11. I think we had, especially down the middle of the field. I think Gallito had a pretty awful match, and I think he spent most of the game just chasing the Ecuadorian midfield, and there was nothing he could do through that. And because of that, we actually lost a lot of possession in the midfield. I think Reyes, I think we all agree that he could be and will be actually a fantastic talent, for Mexico going forward. But we're just going to have to continue to wait until he does eventually blossom, become a good player. But until then, it was really, really awful seeing him back there, and he looked really uncomfortable. And I think Giovanni Dos Santos was a little bit of a letdown as well. I think he saw very little of the ball. He didn't really. It seemed like he struggled for ideas going forward when he did have possession. So I was happy. I was, I loved seeing Chicharito, score a goal, and it was an amazing goal. I think it was definitely a golazo. But I think there's a few problems we need to address.
Definitely looking at the back line. Tom, you're back in. Take a little break, but just your overall feel of the game, your reactions.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I thought it was a fair estimate, to be honest. I thought the back three, I think, were a bit dodgy. I thought that they've never played it before, and I thought that showed. And I think that if they can't kind of improve that, I think someone's going to stick you goals past them at some point. I mean, I thought Ecuador, that Bolaños, he should have scored 2 goals in that game. I mean, he had really, really good chances. So it's a worry that behind the normal back three, and you could argue even with the normal back three, which I'd still say is Massa Rodriguez, Rafa Marquez, and Hector Moreno, behind that, I think there's still a worry about if there's enough quality. And obviously Reyes with not getting playing time, it is concerning now. Yeah, so I thought that was the big take. I mean, that back line needs to be sorted. Mexico can't be giving away that the quantity of chances that they did against Ecuador. Because, I tell you what, put Ene Valencia in that team, and I think you get a completely different result on last Saturday.
Yeah, very, very important. Naib, your take?
Yeah, I think all the points that have been said have been interesting, and I think they just return back to the defense. You notice the importance of Rafa Marquez and his conduction of the ball when you see Reyes in defense. And I think Reyes at one point in the game worried so much about timing and being on the right position at the right time that he totally forgot that he's also responsible to distribute the ball. I think that's why Gallito felt a little bit lonely in that center of the field, because Rafa Marquez would support Gallito Vasquez in the World Cup. And let's not forget that Diego Reyes played a good game against the Netherlands, but he actually played as a central defensive midfielder with Gallito Vasquez in the middle. So there are certain things. I think it's a lot of responsibility for Diego Reyes, considering he hasn't had that much playing time in Porto. If he was having, let's say 2,500 minutes in Europe, well, let it be. Give him that role. But right now, Reyes, I think, is too young, and he's going through a tough time in Porto for him to have such a responsible role in a national team.
Yeah, especially now. Reyes, and we will talk about, obviously, the preview with against Paraguay, but Reyes is the only one that is repeating in his starting lineup. Tom, I know you mentioned the starting lineup. Piojo continues to give him a chance. And we saw that he played after the game. Reyes knew he didn't have a good game. Reyes didn't want to talk to the media. He just kind of brushed by everybody. And we're seeing that it's obviously expected when you're not playing in your team at all. Not even some minutes that you have. You don't have the confidence, so you get demoted to the Porto B. So interesting to see that he wanted to see that, but. Piojo said that he doesn't have that much time to see all of the players. This is the only time that he's going to see them, and that's why he had their European team. So good to hear everyone in the reactions of it. For those of you that were there, Johnny and Tom, one thing outside of maybe the fans don't see. How do you see the team, at least personally? How did you see them in the concentration there as we saw them in the field, and obviously interaction? It looked like the team was having a lot of fun before. I think it's important, and those are it mirrors Piojo's teams, don't you think, Johnny?
Yeah, that's the type of manager Miguel Herrera is, and I think that's that's the way managers have to be, in this modern day. You go back to how Chepo de la Torre was running things, very strict, and no need to mention his results and what kind of outcome that provided. And I'm seeing the same thing in Tijuana with Daniel Guzman. We went from a very strict Cesar Farias to a very players coach like Daniel Guzman, and Tijuana is finding success as well. So I think Herrera has done a good job, with the group in Mexico. The players have responded well to that type of leadership, and just that alone was the big radical change in results from Chepo to Piojo. And now Piojo can actually start working on the finer details on the pitch.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's very, very important, and you can see with the players and obviously everybody having fun. How big was the result? I mean, 1-0. Was it fair to say that a 1-0 result for what they played? You think it's fair to say that should have been the result, even though obviously it was?
Should have been a 3-1 loss for me. I think if it wasn't for Corona, being massive in net, and we were really lucky. I mean, he did an excellent job with that penalty kick at the end. I think it could have been much worse. I think we were really, really lucky to scrape by with just a 1-0 victory. And I think it could have been, like I said, just if it wasn't for Corona, it could have been a really, really terrible night. And it could have highlighted even more so how, maybe not how bad our first options in defense are, because like as we've mentioned, those aren't our first options. But just like some of those, we have a little bit more problem in depth in defense than we may think.
No, definitely. All right, well, let's go ahead and analyze kind of what we wanted to do. Let's start with what you mentioned, Corona. Thursday, we obviously get the news that Corona will be starting. Was that a big shock? Was that a big surprise because everyone had Ochoa starting at goal? And is this sending a message? Is Piojo sending a message to everyone and maybe to Ochoa and Corona that, you know what, at the World Cup he said that Ochoa just above, it was a little bit better than Corona, and that's why he picked him in the World Cup. Now we're seeing, do you think, Tom or Naive, do you think it's important to be picked in the first game, or he was just kind of, let's just see Corona in this one, it doesn't matter what it is? Does it show by picking him, Tom or Naive?
Well, I don't know. I've thought about it quite a bit, and I think the easiest thing for Herrera to have done would have been to left Corona out completely, and just been like, he's 34 now. We've got other good keepers like Talavera, for example, who seems to be next in line. So I think the easiest thing would be to just kind of put Corona to one side. And now, because we know Ochoa's been a bit problematic before when he's not been the number one. Remember with Chepo, he didn't want to come and kind of sit on the sidelines, or that was the rumor. So goalkeepers, it is difficult, that not just in the Mexican national team, but you're number two for so long that it is very difficult, especially when you're playing in Europe and you have to cross the Atlantic. So I think it is important that he named Corona, and Corona's performance was amazing. I mean, he's been doing it regularly this season for Cruz Azul, so he wasn't a massive surprise, but he just kind of took that opportunity. You could almost sense that he was like, this ball is not getting past me today. You could sense he had that kind of confidence and that bit of arrogance to his play. So I think that, yeah, it's big, and I think it might have been a message from Herrera to Ochoa that, obviously you got to be playing here. It's not good enough to not be playing. But at the end of the day, I think Herrera's just being honest and being like, you know what, you are actually both. There's not much between you. Probably Corona's got the nod because he's playing more regularly. But now he's got a real problem because everybody wants that Gold Cup spot. They're both going to really want that Gold Cup spot, and I think one of them's going to be extremely disappointed. And you have to feel that if Ochoa now goes on to get that starting spot at the Gold Cup, how's Corona going to act to go into the Copa America? I mean, and vice versa. It is fascinating how Herrera's going to handle this.
Yeah. Just to follow what Tom said, I mean, I think it was important to see Corona. I mean, I think he hadn't been in the national team for quite a while. In the Europe tour, Talavera went, and he had that game against Belarus. He had a test. I don't know if it was exactly a test for Corona, but I think he responded well. Before this game, there was, Corona for Copa America, Ochoa for Gold Cup. In Copa America, El Tri will play Ecuador, and a lot of the forwards that Corona saw on Saturday, he will probably see, if he goes to, quote unquote, to the Copa America, he'll probably see him there. I think the debate about the goalkeeper is a little bit, I think either goalkeeper can do a good job. I think that's what I want to emphasize here. I think what Corona did in 2012 with the Olympic process was phenomenal, being the captain and everything. And then what Ochoa did in the World Cup was out of like this world kind of the deal. Both are great goalkeepers. The thing is that Corona is playing, and right now Ochoa is not playing in Malaga, and that complicates the situation.
That's just a hard thing too, isn't it? I would put Ochoa as a better option. I think he is a better goalkeeper than Corona. But if I was Piojo, I would have started Corona as well, just because the amount of minutes that he's been getting, and considering like if Ochoa is really really lucky, if he's lucky, he might get minutes with Malaga because Malaga's out of the Copa del Rey. It's just all La Liga for them right now. So if he's lucky, he might get a game or two. If he gets
But this is where you have to see him. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Cesar, sorry to pick it up, but this is
Oh, no, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
have to see him in these games, and the first game was very crucial to see what was his level of play. Maybe he did lose a step. Maybe it was during the 4 or 5 days that Corona looked a lot better than Memo, and Piojo, his job is not to give, I want to give both of them. I need the best starter because Ecuador is a better team against Paraguay, so obviously you need your better keeper.
But I think that like this is international soccer. You know what I mean? It's like this thing where he's got to be seen. It's like he should be being seen at his club. You know what I mean? It's not like he's got one game. Piojo's got one game to kind of select a team. And I think that, putting Ochoa in just because he's not getting minutes isn't fair on all the other keepers. And if you're Talavera, if you're Corona, and you're seeing Ochoa go ahead of you, I think it's bad for kind of the competition within the squad.
I have to agree with Cesar. I think Ochoa is the better option. I'm not saying Corona is a bad keeper by any means. I think, just like Naive said, Corona would do a good job if he were chosen.
Corona did do a good job.
Yeah,
an amazing job. The best job he's ever done in L3.
Yeah, he did a good job, but I still agree with Cesar that as good as Corona was, I still think Ochoa is better. And he has proven it time and time again. The fact that he's number 2, the fact that there's very little playing time, that has never stopped Ochoa from putting on big performances when he is chosen to play. And
go for it.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that he unjustly sees bench time, and it probably won't be the last either. But Ochoa always comes back, and when he finally is chosen, he puts on a great performance. And I mean, those matches at the World Cup speak for themselves.
I'm telling you right now, as a personal opinion, Corona I think has a spot right now over Ochoa,
and also
he's going to be in Copa America.
The fact that it was Corona against Ecuador, I think that was just a coin toss, because when the roster was announced, Piojo said, each keeper is getting one game, so it doesn't. These are the friendly preparation games.
But the most important games, as you can see, the Europeos, the better players, the better lineup is in the first game. It wasn't like it was 2 games and we're going to have the keepers if you have the same defense and the same going forward. We've seen that before in Piojo, but the fact that it was totally 2 different teams. Look at the lineup before, and I know some of them are leaving, but he said, and I said, that Piojo said that the Saturday game is pretty much going to be the A team.
Okay, maybe Corona needed the better defensive threat of him.
Nice.
And Johnny, I do agree with you. Agree with me about saying that Ochoa is a better keeper. But that being said, I would still go with Corona, and I think it says a lot with the fact that, considering the fact that Piojo and Corona had some animosity earlier this year. It was or maybe have been late last year, and the fact that he still put Corona as that starting goalkeeper last week, I think says a lot about that decision right there, and how he thinks that he might have been the better option because of the minutes that he has been getting. Yes, Ochoa is the better keeper, but even going into, let's say, the Gold Cup, I would feel genuinely uncomfortable and a little worried about Ochoa getting. It could potentially be the Gold Cup could potentially be his first minutes since late January, and that makes me worried.
Yeah, I get where it could make some fans worried, but where is it written that minutes equals better option? I mean, if Ochoa has more skill,
minutes equal better performance.
Yeah.
Ochoa has put on great performances without minutes before. Why should we expect any different now?
Johnny, come on. So how long is he going to ride? I mean, if a tournament was next year, I mean, his World Cup amazement is going to last a year without him playing.
It's not like you can switch clubs, at the end of every month. So, how long is it? Probably till the next transfer window.
But it does affect you. But
It does affect you. It does
also,
affect you because
not
because
that
it's the concentration, it's the getting prepared for the games, doing it week in week out. It does. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're playing football or writing or whatever, or doing this podcast. You're doing it all the time. You keep it going. You get better. Well, maybe not the podcast, but
yes,
generally you get better.
All right. Well, enough of the keeper controversy. We're going to see now. We were going to see Ochoa, but now obviously he has to go. You've seen, if you follow me on Twitter, I have this theory that Ochoa, something's going up, something's odd, it's going to be that. At least bad management from Ochoa, not telling Piojo about his baby. What we did know about Guardado before the game, and all of a sudden during the game, Ochoa says, that he might be leaving. At least bad management for him. No one knew about this. I would have thought that if Ochoa did have the possibility of returning back, Piojo would have given him a chance to see him, but he didn't take that. So we'll see what's going on. I think there's something going on there. But let's move on. Let's move on with the Ochoa and Corona drama. It looks like we have it every single time. Let's talk about, we already mentioned a little bit about the defense and what was going on. Should we be worried? Naib, should we be worried right now that we do not have a set defense that we can say? And it looks like we've always had. Because if you ask me right now, who do I want in the back? I would say Massa and Rafa Marquez.
And Moreno, of course.
Moreno and
Layun and Aguilar maybe have a go ahead right now in the lineup. I think it's tough with the 5-3-2. I mean, I think the center backs that come into the team have, it's not easy for Hugo Ayala to immediately click and have a phenomenal game in the 5-3-2 because at Tigres he plays 4-4-2. And I think that's something that to keep in mind. The transition as well, it's not gonna be easy. I mean, I think the fact that Rafa Marquez kind of just sporadically comes back when we think that he's not gonna come back anymore, it's a reason to be worried about. I think El Tri has to move away from Rafa Marquez, but the problem is that there's not a center back right now in Mexico that has the capacities that Rafa Marquez has. If you want to play a 5-3-2, now you want to play a 4-4-2, I think there's more possibilities for El Tri. To have Hector Moreno and Massa Rodriguez, and then have Layun and Aguilar. And I think that kind of releases the problems. But when you have a 5-3-2, that center back that's in the back, like kind of a sweeper, has to have different capabilities that not that many Mexican center backs have. And we saw how Diego Reyes has suffered, and I don't know right now if tomorrow against Paraguay he's gonna put Cata Dominguez in that position and put maybe Diego Reyes as the right center back.
Yeah, I was wondering about that myself too, because I was thinking that you would think that Reyes would be or should be, based on his talents, he should be the one right in the middle between the two. But it's tough just after that last performance. Even though Cata Dominguez may not be nearly as talented as Reyes, he might have a little bit more composure than Reyes at this point, and maybe it'd be better to have Reyes as a right center back as opposed to that, the middle center back.
I would have to disagree because when Diego Reyes was at America with Piojo, he was the left center back. Aquivaldo Mosquera was a sweeper, and Massa Rodriguez was the right center back. I think playing Diego Reyes as a sweeper, just because he's played defensive midfield, early on in his career, I think that was a mistake. He was playing him out of position as a sweeper. Diego Reyes has done a phenomenal job at left center back when he played in that Herrera's 5-3-2 system at America.
Yeah, I guess it's just a little bit hard because you'd be taking out Alanis, who's I mean, I'm just putting him at left center back just because that's what he's typically played, and also he's left-footed. So I'd assume a little bit easier for him to be slotting into that spot.
And I agree that Diego Reyes could probably be a right center back as well. I think at America he only played left center back to make Massa Rodriguez's job a little easier on the right side. But it's the fact that he was playing sweeper. I don't think Diego Reyes is cut out to be a sweeper. I think he's cut out to be a right or left center back.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a problem. It's a problem, and I think that I just can't see Piojo changing the system. I know he did the kind of little tweak against the Netherlands and just kind of moved Reyes a little bit forward, but it was nothing kind of huge. You know what I mean? I mean, it really did. It worked. I think off with the main striker, but yeah, it's worrying. The Reyes situation is worrying. Who's going to take over from Rafa Marquez is worrying. Even Rafa Marquez himself at this, I think he's going to be like, what is he, 36 now? It's like...
That was like 45 or 92 or something like that.
Like, yeah. Like, you know, how it's just like assuming he's the captain, but you know, should Rafa still be in the team? And I mean, I think the answer to that is that not really, no, not at his age, no. But then where else do you look? Who else do you go to?
But why Rafa Marquez? Why not on the team right now?
Then I think is.
Why can't we have Rafa Marquez on the team right now? It's I think right now Mexico are preparing for Gold Cup and Copa America. They're not preparing for 2018 World Cup. They need to focus on these two tournaments that are coming up, and I think Rafa Marquez would be a good solution for these tournaments. Once you start planning out the 2018 World Cup and the friendlies in September and October, November, then you can start considering other younger options than Rafa Marquez.
I guess it's just a little hard right now because in comparison to other years, if it was just one tournament, if it was just the Gold Cup this summer, I don't think we'd be having as good discussion about the defense as we would be having. We'd be confident with Massa Moreno and Reyes and would be okay. But now that we need to have a total of 46 different players this summer, we're going to be going to Copa America as well. I think that brings out a little bit more worries about our depth in the defense.
I wouldn't be comfortable with Reyes right now in the Copa Oro. I'd be crazy nervous to have Reyes out there.
Yeah. Did I say that? I meant to say Moreno, Rafa, and Massa. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
No, and I think that's...
Did I say Reyes? I'm sorry. Yeah. Moreno, Rafa, Massa. There you go. Let it be known.
that's where it comes from. It was a little shaky. I mean, looking at the defense, it just didn't feel like it was your usual Piojo team. I mean, with the 5-3-2, obviously the wing backs coming and making those runs. I mean, Aguilar and Layun, even them, it just didn't seem like they were in the game. At the beginning, I think we're focusing too much, from the beginning of the game, those first 3 minutes that they had an awful showing and a little nervous coming out. But let's talk about the defense. I think it's very, midfield very disappointing. Gallito Vasquez having a game where, in León, maybe he's doing what he needs to do in León, but it looked like coming in and he wasn't ready, he wasn't attacking. Not your normal Gallito Vasquez, the same Gallito Vasquez with the intensity that he had in the World Cup. What do you think, Naib? Coming in.
What I saw from the midfield is because at a certain point, I think there needed to be two central defensive midfielders. That Gallito was too, by himself there. And I think there's this idea, and Tom touched about it. I think during the game, Herrera will have to switch from 5-3-2 to a 4-4-2. I mean, you can't just stay with that formation, because that's the main reason why Gallito Vasquez was so vulnerable in the center, because there was no one accompanying him, and Reyes was, not helping him at all. I think I saw the best one in the midfield was Guardado, of course, and then I saw Héctor Herrera thinking too much about Bayern Munich during the game.
Exactly.
He wasn't that too focused on the occasion. I think his head was already thinking, well, I got a Champions League game that, what if I do this move and an Ecuador defender messes me up right now? So I saw H was a little bit already thinking too much about Bayern Munich. But overall, I think was the Gallito situation. I think Gallito needed a partner in the central defensive midfield.
He didn't seem like himself. You notice Héctor Herrera at all. It looked like his intensity. And there was a game there was a part in the second half. It looked like he's like, all right, I got to do something. And he went by like 3 or 4 players and was able to get a dangerous crossover. But you saw that. Cesar, you were about to comment.
Oh, no, Herrera definitely seemed a little too reserved and calm. And even when he got the ball, he kind of took his time. He wasn't he was taking his time. He was looking around. It was really strange because maybe because at least once or twice in the past year when Herrera's playing, you expect some sort of grand magical move that he'll make or some cool back heel thing. But it was a very, very, I don't know, it was just, when he had the ball, he just slowed down the possession a lot, and it
looked like he was training a lot harder in his pictures with, his pictures and in the 3 days. It looked like he was having an amazing training session, and even before the game. But Herrera, Guardado, obviously the captain, doing everything. I think he's probably one of the best players outside of Corona and Chicharito. But Guardado having a great game, and it shows. Good good for him with PSV finally getting the move and doing that what the fans wanted. But Guardado doing an amazing job. Let's talk about, obviously, what's almost the man of the match. It was funny because we were sitting in the press box, and they were looking for the MVP, and they were going by, and they were saying Chicharito, right? Everyone, yeah, Chicharito. And I noticed, I'm like, well, if Corona stops his PK, it happened, I think we have to give it to Corona. And yes, he picked it. But Chicharito, his goal, let's not lie, because at the very beginning, before that goal, I saw a lot of people with Chicharito making some runs, and then getting the ball going, Chicharito almost. Oh, again, Chicharito. But then he does the unexpected. Your thoughts, Cesar, on that goal, and how excited was it for everyone, for Chicharito to see, and you could just see him, pointing at and showing the world, I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, right before that goal, I mean, that was amazing. I mean, for some reason, my reaction whenever I'm taking notes, whenever someone scores, I just throw my pen up in the air. I don't know, I can't help it. There's certain things I can't help, but that was my immediate, and just like threw my pen up in the air. But before that goal, I will agree. I think Chicharito, he was lacking a little something. He was lacking maybe just connecting with passes. There was something a little off. But one thing I do have to say about Chicharito is I think he was the hardest working player out there. I think he made some mistakes, but that guy was seriously just working so hard throughout all that time on the pitch. And it was funny, after he scored that goal, he almost scored the most Chicharito-esque goal afterwards. I'm sure you guys remember where he slipped and he fell on the floor a little bit. And then he was going to hit it over the keeper, which would have been the most Chicharito-esque goal of all time for him. But yeah, no, I think like I said, I think he worked really hard. He did what he had to do. He scored a goal, and hopefully gives a little bit more motivation. It was excellent as a fan to see that, but yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, it was an individual, individual goal, it was an individual spark from Chicharito. You can go, Johnny.
Yeah, I was one of those that had just written a tweet.
Yeah, you did.
Saying, what happened to Chicharito's touch of the ball, because he had just put in a really crappy pass that led to a Ecuador counterattack, and I put it in my tweet that must be the price of inactivity, but 3 minutes later there's the goal, and really. You have to show me up like that, but
that's usually how the soccer gods work. Like, the minute that you criticize anybody on Twitter, they'll probably get a hat trick within a matter of 10 minutes. Yeah. That's just how the Twitter gods work. Let's
go ahead and look at the goal here at the screen. Brand new technology here at the Mexican Soccer Show. Let's go ahead and on this touchscreen, as you can see, here we go. Pressing play. You see Chicharito, obviously, if you were just following him, he fell down and bam, 3 players goes around, and who'd expect it right here that Chicharito shoots the ball and gets it? I mean,
it's definitely
it, but it's. I'll just let it play. To notice Afro Xander, who was part of our clique. I don't know if you were able to see in this take, but. It's pretty. He said to mention him. He was there taking pictures. I tweeted out. But go ahead, Johnny. You're about to say.
I would have got half of that play right. I would have expected him to shoot and miss the goal and hit the post.
I think he did.
Yeah, so I would have got half the play right.
Let's see.
It's all about the new hairstyle. It's all about the new hairstyle. Looking
at the replay coming in, I mean, he was looking at the ball the whole time. That's what I like about. There's Afro right there. Little shout out to him.
Yeah, one point about Chicharito, I recommend the audience to try to see the interview that Ruben Rodriguez from Fox Deportes had with him. I don't know if it was exactly what day it was, Thursday or Friday or something like that. But he speaks about the moment that he's living in Real Madrid and how difficult it is to train 100% every day and not seeing any reward in the weekend with Real Madrid. And not really having a possibility to prove if he's really worth to be in Real Madrid because he doesn't even get minutes, and to see him come, and to this scenario that we call the North, the Aztec of the North, and give this type of performance, deserves a lot of praise, because he knows the responsibility that he has as number 14 and all the being so close to the top goal scorers in Mexico, and respond to the responsibility, If you compare the game that Chicharito had individually to the game that Giovanni had individually, There's a big difference. Chicharito did a lot
Sounds like
more than Giovanni, and
sounds like
Giovanni's more talented.
sounds like a goalkeeper I know.
All right. So I mean, as you see, good for him. I got a chance to interview him. We'll post that up on YouTube after the game. He came up. Still on my iPhone. Thank you. Jason was right behind me. He did snap a picture of me talking to Chicharito, talking to him in English, and I just pretty much asked him. I said, what do you the goal? Tell me about the goal. And he kind of laughed. He's like, well, you saw it, But then he kind of. Yeah, I'm like, tell me, what you were thinking about that goal, because it looked like he was just dribbling the ball, and he didn't even see the goal, and he shot it. And he said, yeah, obviously I saw that. I took the shot, and it went in. It was very fortunate. But then what he said, I'm like, what did that goal mean? And he said, no, one thing that I really like what he said was that he hasn't lost it. He just needs to prove. He needs time for the goals, as you can see. And I told him if this was a reaction, from the lack of playing time. And he said, no, I'm always going to give 100%, no matter if I'm playing or if I'm not playing. And what we have definitely enjoyed the LA Coliseum and the atmosphere in the game. But he said this is all for the fans. So just an amazing game.
Yeah, no, it's almost like all the pent-up frustrations of not seeing playing time was almost like seen in that shot that he had. And going back to that interview that Naib talked about, it was interesting to see Chicharito be so open, because I've always kind of whenever I've seen like an interview with him, it's almost like I was convinced for a long time that Chicharito was just a robot. He's not a real human being. Like, he never really shows emotion. He always says like the most standard, typical things during interviews, but he must genuinely be very frustrated if he was that open and candid about his time, his recent time, and his lack of minutes. So, I mean, hopefully, we'll see. I mean, this could be leading to another conversation, probably for another podcast, but hopefully we'll see some team come up and pick him up over the summer.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, who's going to jump on? Wiso, isn't that your job to intervene?
We have
fill the void. Come on, Wiso. Oh, did we lose Wiso? He's not saying anything right now.
Maybe can't.
All right.
There, can you hear me? Sorry about that.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
No problem, but awkward silence. Sorry.
We're all waiting. It's very odd.
There's a little button right here that. And I had it muted since I had a couple dogs in the background. Sorry, guys. All right, Tom, you're back. Tom, what we were talking about Chicharito. I know you had some problems there at the hotel in Kansas City, the internet. But tell me, overall, we kind of reviewed the goal and what we saw here on the touchscreen new TV here that we have. But go ahead, Tom. What did you think, Chicharito, overall on that goal?
No, yeah, on the goal, brilliant. I mean, it came together for him, and I thought that even apart from the goal, I thought he was, his movement was brilliant. He really highlighted I think it's the best skill he has is his movement. It's just like innate movement. He knows where to move, just to create a little bit of space. And I thought he was unlucky a couple of times. I thought, he was very close to being put one-on-one with the keeper, and I think just a couple of times, just the pass through to him just wasn't quite there. But yeah, I mean, he's Chicharito, and he finds a way of scoring his goals, and it's good to see. It's good to see with obviously he looks so frustrated with what's going on at Real Madrid, and when he speaks, you can tell he's just so desperate to get more minutes, and so I think it's great for him, a massive boost of confidence as well. But this summer, Chicharito is the same as the last one, really. I mean, he's going to be kind of having this club situation going round and round again. Everybody's going to be asking him at every training session what's happening, and then in the background he's got the national team duty, and it's going to be fascinating to see where Chicharito ends up, because I think most people, and me included, would agree that Carlos Vela is the number one striker now for El Tri. And it's a question of who's going to go in the Gold Cup team alongside Vela, and I'd like it to be Chicharito. I think, we'll see. we'll see how it goes. I mean, Raul Jimenez tomorrow, I think he's going to have a good game. He looked really sharp in training today. He looked really keen. He was kind of showing off to the journalists and the photographers on the side. He looks full of confidence. You know, Naib will know Atletico Madrid's last game. He had a really good. He put in a good performance there, so he comes in with a little bit of confidence. So, yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what Herrera does this summer, and I think that I don't think he really knows fully, to be honest. I think he's really struggling, and I think the goalkeeper position is one, and the other is who to play up front.
Yeah, and we're mentioning up front, Giovanni Dos Santos. I kind of like the chemistry that they had, both of them, but I liked Jimenez and Chicharito better. I don't know what your take on that, but it looked like Gio, just not normal Gio. I know he wanted to do a lot, but it just kind of, I thought, missing the step on giving the ball away, or just wasn't your normal game that Gio has, but we haven't seen that from Gio in a while, so.
Yeah, I think the competition for that striker place is genuinely difficult, and I think it depends what you're right, Wiso. It depends on the combination. You know what I mean? More than anything, because it's like Gio or Raul Jimenez, Gio or Chicharito. You know, Chicharito and Jimenez. It's like there's so many different combinations, and then who's going to work best with Vela? You know, it's going to be fascinating to see what he does. And like at the end of the day, the thing with Herrera, ever since he's taken over this national team, he's not really had much time. He's always been kind of like up against the clock to try and put teams together. And I think that in a way, obviously it's great for us that Mexico are playing in the Gold Cup and the Copa America. But I think in a certain way, it's that Copa America, I don't like to say it because I love the competition, but it's a bit of a distraction because it's complicating everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it really is complicating everything for Herrera. Where it would, if it was just the Gold Cup this summer, I think all these issues would be a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that statement. Like I said, just quickly going back to the defense, I think if it was just the Gold Cup, we wouldn't be that worried about our defense because, as we mentioned, we just have those three that we would rely on, which would be Moreno, Rafa, and Massa. Not Reyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and up front, you know, you go with Chicharito and Vela, and then you've got Giovanni, a great substitute. Raul Jimenez, put him on as well. He can produce magic. You know, you got a really, really strong bench then going forward, and you know they have to then battle it out. But it's going to be kind of half. So I think there's going to be some, and I just think there's a lot of potential for kind of. Herrera's managed the players so well so far, but there's so much potential for unrest this summer. I mean, look at the. You imagine you're Raul Jimenez, you know, Giovanni, and you get sent to the Copa America. I mean, how happy are they going to be? Or you're Ochoa and you get sent to the Copa America.
He's going to Copa America. I'm telling you.
All right. Also, okay, we know Mexico's situation about having to put two squads together, but is Copa America really that bad? Like you're playing in a competition against Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. Is that really something to complain about?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's just that it's the main goal is to win the World Cups. It's almost like as if because you're being sent to the Copa America, you'll be playing against great competition, but you'll be on the B squad. You'll be seen as you're one of Piojo's kind of like backup options. So I think that's why there might be, not saying that someone could stand out in the competition. I think Naib actually touched on it a little bit, saying like how it could actually be good for a couple of players. But I think it can kind of be seen as a bad.
You remember the Copa America last time? The guys that were the Copa America were almost the same group that went to the Olympics.
Yeah, but let's look at Ochoa's situation. Okay, he goes to Copa America. Worst case scenario, that's a bigger stage for a guy who's trying to transfer out of Malaga. You know, there's going to be more European clubs taking a look at Copa America than taking a look at Gold Cup. Really, who cares if Mexico puts a 5-0 on Honduras if Mexico can get a 1-0 over Brazil?
Or not get a 5-0 on what happened 2 years ago and get no wins at the Copa America because the defense that goes to Copa America is going to be horrendous compared to that level of play.
Ochoa has dealt with some bad defense, you know, his entire time at Ajaccio. I think that's nothing new to him.
The early years of America weren't that.
Yeah,
anyway.
and just to point out, I think one of the impressive things about Herrera was that he's taking both teams. I mean, he's not putting Baños to take the team to Copa America or Potro Gutierrez. He's actually taking the whole responsibility because he actually does believe that he has something in his mind that might be able to work out. The piece that I wrote last week about Giovanni and Jonathan was created, based on, okay, well, how can you build a team around the Dos Santos brothers? I mean, if you're going to have the Dos Santos brothers on the bench in the Gold Cup, might as well take them to the Copa America and build your team around those two players. I mean, we're talking about two players that have been playing together since they were 12 years old. And they understand well with Marco Fabian, who's playing a great season with Chivas. And then Luis Chapito Montes is returning to a good level. And then maybe Negrito Medina can be one of the midfielders there in that team. So, I mean, I think Herrera wants to compete in Copa America. And I think there's a good possibility. I mean, if you're third best in your group, you can actually make it to the next round. And then the next round, anything can happen.
I propose this question. There's talk of A team and B team for Copa Oro, Copa America.
Don't start the A and B team.
No, well, that's I'm going off of what Lisa just mentioned. Is it better to be the backup midfielder in Copa Oro or to be the starting midfielder at Copa America?
Starter in Copa America, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think most definitely. Yeah,
I would agree too. But based on this, just because you're a Copa America squad, you're kind of like this on the second level. You're not.
Is it really an A team when you have the C backups and your A team?
Yeah, I just think I know what you're saying, Johnny. I just think there's potential for unrest. I think there's potential for players not to be very happy with the situation if they get sent to the one they don't want to be sent to. Sorry.
I see. If you get playing time at Copa America, which is a bigger stage, I would see, even though you're on what people are saying the B squad, I think that's still a lot better than being the reserve on Copa Oro, which is a smaller stage and no playing time, even though you're part of what people call the A squad.
Look, I think if we use as a skeleton or as a base, the lineup, who knows who's going to be the goalkeeper? But if we have Layun, Rafa, Moreno, Massa, Aguilar, Herrera, Guardado, let's put Gallito there, Vela, Chicharito, then Peralta on the bench, then maybe, I don't know who else could be on the bench. But if you have three good bench players in the Gold Cup, plus that star-studded starting 11, I mean, there's not players in CONCACAF at the level of Vela and Herrera and Guardado. I think the competition, and then you probably won't see Costa Rica or the U.S. till the final. And I think there is a possibility that Herrera can win this tournament with 14 good players, and then take Tecatito, Jonathan, Giovanni, Raúl Jiménez to the Copa America. So I think there is this creation that we have to have the best team in Gold Cup, because if El Tri doesn't win the Gold Cup, then hell is going to break loose. But I think it's possible to have a good 14-player team in the Gold Cup, and there's a good shot that El Tri is going to go all the way to the final.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if we're going to be going through the A-B system, so we're going to be having the A starter team, but the B team is going to be starting at the Copa America, but the C reserves are going to be at the Gold Cup, and the D reserves are going to be at the Copa America.
That's what I was saying.
I think I'm figuring it out.
You're getting dangerously close to algebra, and there's a reason why I work in soccer.
Johnny.
I tell you what, one thing I have liked about Herrera, though, when he's talked about the Copa America team, and it is a B team, whatever, it is the players that don't fit into his starting 11. They're the ones they can make go. So, but he said like it's their chance. They can go there, and they can now, if they make an absolute statement with the performances, then that's their path towards getting in the real starting 11 when it comes to qualifying. So I think I like what he's saying. I like his rhetoric when it comes to that. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the penalty kick. It felt right when he was about to kick it. It looked like I'm like, can we watch? He's gonna stop it. I think it went through everybody, and that we're seeing
Copa America, Wiso.
What?
I will admit, Corona stopping the penalty was not something that went through my mind. I don't think I've ever seen him stop a penalty before.
Now, would he stop that at Copa America? I don't know.
There he goes with his Birdman. By the way, his Birdman.
I'm serious. Besides this one, has anyone seen Corona stop a PK before?
I don't remember actually, but
We'll
there
have
it is.
we'll have to ask
That's
Jason.
Read it. Jason, you're on the chat. Jason, please. Has Corona ever just stopped a penalty kick? When was the last time you remember, at least?
I'm sure he has. He's been in the league about 14 years.
Ever. This is very.
It might have. If I'm saying a big if he has, it probably was with Tecos.
Yeah.
Pio Herrera was a coach.
Oh.
There you go.
Nice
connection. Nice connection. That was the wrong button.
We have our engineer working the stage somewhere. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Let's kind of go into the debut. Obviously, Jürgen Damm. We didn't see a lot, and then obviously Mr. Eduardo Herrera getting the 14 seconds, 10 seconds in, which Piojo did say that he thought there were most times, and he do that on purpose to make sure ending in game. But Jürgen Damm. Tom, you were mentioning when we were talking this after the game how you were talking to Alejandro Moreno and the other guy, I forgot his name, and during halftime, during the game, and you were saying how Jürgen Damm was very intelligent, very young lad, very intelligent what he is, and then he ends up forgetting his shirt when he was coming in. At that very moment, we were all kind of confused because we were so high up in the Coliseum on the top when we hear, and now with the number 8 jersey, Jonathan Dos Santos, and I immediately was like, what? He's coming in, and the whole stadium was like, all right, we're gonna see Jonathan in. And then I'm zooming in, I could not see because we were so high up there, but it was Jürgen Damm. Tom, tell me, how did you see him in his debut? The type of character he saw, and then obviously off the field, because fun times with him in his first time there.
Yeah, I think I thought he did well. I thought he worked hard. I thought he won a free kick. He ran at the defence. He does what he does. Chelsea made an offer for him last summer. He's been on trial at Manchester United. I think that tells you something about his ceiling. Those clubs aren't going to, they aren't interested in him for right now. It's what he can be, and I think that he's got that asset that you look at the top clubs in the world. It's the one asset that every player almost must have these days, and it's the most modern aspect, which is speed. If you want to play in a Champions League club these days and you're not fast, then there's very few that aren't pacey. And Damm's pacey in Mexico. He'd be pacey in the Premier League, and he'd be pacey in La Liga. He's genuine, absolutely rapid. So yeah, I think that he's been improving the last couple of years. He's improved his decision making. I think he's going to be a regular in the squad for years to come. I really do, and I think that at the moment, I think what his role is, I think him and Tecatito Corona are both going to be kind of fighting it out for that kind of sub when Mexico needs to make something happen. I thought that Herrera used him against Ecuador because obviously they're 1-0 up. Stick Damm on there, and if Ecuador he did it to a degree, but pushed forward and kind of sacrificed a little bit at the back. Someone like Damm can absolutely rip you to shreds. I remember watching him a few weeks ago against Atlas, and he just destroyed the Atlas defense on the counter. It was a top performance. So yeah, I'm excited. I think he's a different kind of player for Mexico. Yeah,
I've seen that Damm. I recently got that. That's the second fastest footballer with the ball in his feet. A report coming out.
That was a weird report.
Yeah,
It was from a record.
Yeah, I think someone just saw how fast the top players were, and then they're just like, "Come on, Damm, you got to break this. We got to get some notoriety. You want to go to Europe? Then let's see how fast you. I feel
that everyone took that story. Even in Europe, they saw it taking that story. So it kind of did make headways. I think it's what Chicharito was the fastest. We've seen before Chicharito being the fastest player in the World Cup in 2010. So I thought it was funny that came out around that time. But everyone else.
What does that mean? Like, have they measured every player in every league?
Yes.
I just don't believe they've done that. I don't know how they did it, but it was just a bit. It was like the names were like Bale, Jürgen Damm than like Valencia and all these like really famous players, and it's like Jürgen Damm just slid in there. It's like there must be some players who are like really fast but just not very good.
It was the agent. It was the agent.
The agent.
Also, there was like some technical things. It was like it wasn't just the fast player. It was like the fast player with the ball too. It's like I don't know.
I write something really quick at footmexsource.com. Some crazy. See how fast it picks up.
Like you're the fastest man alive, and just like Cesar Hernandez is number 2. Why hasn't someone signed Cesar Hernandez? Who is this Cesar Hernandez from Northern California?
Well done. Anybody else to talk about in the? I know we only have a couple more minutes, but we can't even say Herrera was his debut, but his subs and his substitute. I thought Raul Jimenez looked fine. I think he looked really good, and I think it was so that goal towards the end that he headed in. So lucky for him to not go in, but I thought he'd even looked better than Gio, like we mentioned before. But
Yeah.
what did you think about Raul Jimenez coming in, and also I think Piojo took forever to do his subs. I don't know about you guys, but
I think he definitely took a long time. I don't think any of the players really got enough time to really justify really seeing how well they did. I think Jimenez, he was one that maybe stood out the most just because of how he hit the post. But other than that, I don't think the players really got enough time to really see how well they did.
I think with Jimenez, it's like I think it's different than Reyes. Reyes had a bit more time now, hasn't he, in Porto in Europe. So I think that in Reyes' case, it is now concerning that a couple of coaches at Porto haven't started him. I think with Jimenez, this is his first season. Atletico's a top club at the minute with a top coach under Simeone, and I think you got to have a bit of patience with him. You know what I mean? I think we have to see next season what happens with him. I think that's going to be next season for Jimenez. For me, is absolutely key. I mean, they might well loan him out, or we don't know yet, but he has to make an impact next season.
It's just impressive with you go Johnny first, and then I'll go.
No, you go ahead. I had a typical Johnny comment. You do the serious and the last.
No, but I want to hear the Johnny comment though.
Yes, we all want to hear the Johnny comment. Johnny, go ahead.
Johnny comment after all business has been taken care of. So naive professional comment, then Johnny goes in.
All right, there we go.
You lost it. You're not going back to that.
What's it called? I mean, it's been interesting with Jimenez because there was a certain point that the minutes weren't coming, and now all of a sudden he's appeared in several games for Atletico. I mean, let's remember Simeone asked the directors to get Raúl from America. He was really intrigued by the forward that Raúl Jimenez is. And this Atletico with the counter and the speed that Raúl Jimenez has. He's had a little bit more muscular mass as well during this period in which he hasn't played that much. But yeah, we'll see exactly what happens if in fact Atletico might loan him to a club in La Liga for him to get more minutes, more experience, or if he's actually going to stay. It will all depend on what Atletico does in the offseason. But by the looks of it, they will be bringing more strikers. One of them that is rumored is Cavani. So if Cavani comes, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think they'll loan him out, mate. That's mad.
Johnny, that was your take, bro.
Come on, Johnny.
Raúl Jimenez, he scored a bicycle kick during qualifiers. Any playing time he gets with the Mexican national team is already justified.
All right, with that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the wrong button.
Johnny, that was good.
No, there was no way I was gonna let that comment interrupt a naive analysis.
All
Wait a
right,
second,
guys.
Dave, I have something to say.
Really quickly, tomorrow, the Paraguay game, we're gonna have, if you guys are available, probably 45 minutes before the game starts, a little pre-show to talk about, keep talking about the Mexican national team versus Paraguay. Tom, I know you're there in Kansas City, and we tweeted out the starting lineup already. Do you have that? Or Cesar, any of you?
I have the start lineup. I don't know.
Cesar.
All right. So, in goal, we have Edgar Melitón Hernandez. Our 3 center backs, Alanis, Reyes, Cata. Right wing back, Jesus Dueña. Yeah, he's a right wing back. Right. Left wing back, Jorge Torres Nilo. Our midfielders, Javier Güemes, Juan Carlos Medina, Jonathan Dos Santos, and our 2 strikers, Eduardo Lalo Herrera and Raúl Jimenez.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
there it is.
The one thing that stands out of that lineup is we're gonna have 2 well-built strikers. When's the last time Mexico had that?
Actually, I was just writing about that. Both those guys are both over 6 foot. I think Jimenez is 6'2", and I think Lalo, I think he's like 6'3". I might have been getting them confused, but it's gonna be interesting to see those two options up top.
Long ball, isn't it? Long ball, it.
Yeah, that's
the way forward.
Crosses set
England style. Say it, Tom.
It's the way forward.
It's the way football was invented, right, Tom?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we have definitely taken over the hour. Thank you to all. Fun times hanging out with you, Tom. Hanging out with Johnny, Jolie, also John Arnold from Goal.com. And it had just a lot of fun. Also, Jason from Soccer Mexicana, getting all together. It was a lot of fun hanging out and being there at the press box. Congratulations again one more time to Tom, getting some airtime there with ESPN. Not just ESPN too, Johnny. ESPN, looking good. A lot of people tweeting out there, so it's good to see you there. Naive, really quickly, you were there at the Chivas Santos game, and you also had an amazing interview with Caixinha. Really quickly, I know we have to go, but just your thoughts on that interview and what you took out of it.
It's just interesting. I mean, the viewpoint from Caixinha, the preparation that he takes in every game. All the stuff that he's offered to Santos, it benefits Mexican football in general. His way of seeing the game, bringing a perspective that it's not common in the Mexican game. He had a lot of interesting words about the Mexican footballer, about the comfort zone that some coaches have as well, and not trying luck in Europe. And overall it was good. Chivas is in a good level right now of football. They're playing excellent. It was a friendly, but they dominated the whole friendly, I'd say. And Santos, it's a bit confusing situation right now. Caixinha says that he has the support of the players and the directors, and the players say the same thing, but that doesn't look in the game perspective.
Caixinha to Leon, we'll take him.
Did you ask Caixinha why he gets into so many fights with opposing managers?
Maybe no, I didn't ask him that question.
That's the question we all want to know.
Next time.
What he thinks about Reverend Lovejoy from Simpsons, and the comparison. They look pretty similar. Was he the one who inspired the drawing for Reverend Lovejoy from Simpsons? I
don't think I'll ever get an interview with Caixinha because Kim Tate already knows that'd be the first question I'd ask.
Thank you to Kim Tate giving us that interview. We were gonna have him on the show, but a little time struggles. But if you haven't listened to it, go to the Mexican Soccer Show podcast on iTunes. Is it iTunes or is it on the SoundCloud, Naib?
It's on the iTunes and the iVoox link, but it's in both.
All right, Naib, you just tweet it out as soon as the show's done. That way, look for Naib, and we'll tweet out from the Mexican Soccer Show if you missed it. A great interview on there. But guys, I know we ran out of time. We went a little bit over. Thank you to all that's on the chat. Thank you for keeping it going. I know special shout out to Jason from Soccer Mexicana, who all they're asking questions. Joel, obviously, Manuel de Leon, Edwin G, Afro Xander's also on there. Guys, if you haven't been part of the chat, it's really fun, and definitely you can comment about everything.
Thank you to Joel Bott, who he stayed on the chat for the entire show, even though he mentioned several times he was missing Better Call Saul.
Yes, and the happening
That's happening right now?
That's the DVR. It's a tricky little thing, but hope you guys like the new look. Hope you obviously keep sharing it. We keep growing. A lot of views out there. Keep sharing the Mexican Soccer Show on Twitter at Mex Soccer Show, and obviously follow all of us to keep the conversations going. Tom's will give us his obviously follow him. He is the guy on the ground for Mexican Soccer Show, and following the team around, and then we'll see what we have in April. Guys, thank you so much for being on. Naive, Johnny, and Cesar, always a fun time, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, with the pre-show, 45 to 30 minutes before. We could even do a halftime, kind of see what we're doing. So always jump back, and then we'll make sure we have a post-show sometimes later on during the week. But definitely stay tuned. Have a great Monday night, and Mexico will see you tomorrow. What are your predictions tomorrow, guys? Mexico winning?
I'm shooting for a 2-2.
Yeah,
not that excited to end it, but at 2-2.
Yeah, I'm going for 1-1.
Roque Santa Cruz isn't playing. You still think Paraguay will score 2 goals?
I think our defense will allow it.
I don't. It's not the same Paraguay. Very offensive from the coach, but at the same time, we'll see.
2-1 Mexico. 2-1 Mexico.
There it is.
There you go. There you go.
I'm going with the shutout, 2-0 Mexico.
All right. Okay.
Melitón Hernandez for World Cup 2018.
I thought you were going to say Melitón Hernandez scored both goals.
A la Jorge Campos.
Put him in his.
All right, guys. Have a great time. Have a great show. We had a great time. And sorry, I got a little confused here on my audio, but have a great time. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.